I can honestly say I've not seen one of these in the flesh ever. Hello, welcome to Lot 76 Cars. My name's Simon and today we're at the last Chrome and Coffee event that Footman James have put on for 2023. Looks like a great event. It was sold out in 1 hour and there's over 500 cars here, so let's go and take a look at them, shall we? So this is a really stunning car to start with, an Austin Atlantic aimed by Austin of England then to sell to the US market. If we just have a look, some lovely features. Look how it's got the double Austin logo on the front. Absolutely some stunning features. That central strip that runs all the way across the car. It's still of an age where it's got trafficators there. As somebody just pointed out to me, it's even got electric windows. And look at the Austin logo that's actually embossed into the door cards. That is an absolutely stunning looking car, isn't it? This one is really is in superb order. So the more you see, the more features that you sort of pick out. Like again, that central strip, those Frenched in rear lights, tiny ones, aren't they? Really fantastic looking car, very pretty. This must have really wowed people at the 1948 Earls Court Motor Show. It is the later XK150. 120 was the original launch car. Got the louvers in the bonnet there. Probably need quite a bit of engine cooling. Some lovely features. Look, you've got the J in the front lamp there. Lovely Lucas spot lamps there as well. This one's in absolutely great order as well, to be fair. Very pretty car in that sort of describe the colour, it's sort of grey, I guess. So this looks to be a really late Dolomite Sprint. It's registered on a W, which I guess would make it probably 1980. Car was launched in 73, so celebrating a 50th birthday. Had quite a long shelf life. The Sprint itself, I think, did something like 116 miles an hour around Myra back in the day. Really ahead of its time, with a 16 valve head developed by Coventry Climax. Great to see that here today. Now, to think that whole families used to go out in these, including families like mine. My mum had a Clubman, but this is a much earlier December 69 Morris Mini Traveller Mark II. I think Mark II had the revised grille. The wood on this is less structural, I think, than it is on the Miners. It's apparently this colour. It says sandy beige on the heritage certificate. Well, I'll take their word for it. Look more like Old English white to me. Isn't that in lovely order? That's beautiful, isn't it? Not sure if this is an RS Turbo or not, but it's a Mark IV Escort. Got those vents in the bonnet. I'm pretty sure these had relatively low by today's standard horsepower, but as somebody's pointed out, relatively low weight as well. This one's a lovely black one. I think the lights are matched. It is an RS Turbo, but it looks like it's got some bigger wheels on it. But really nice to see that here today as well, in good order. To commemorate the 40th anniversary of the screening of Bullet with Steve McQueen is one of 5,808 Bullet Mustangs, based on the GT model, premium model I should say. It is a stunner. That green really suits that car. It's not overdone like many of these could be. It's even got the Bullet badging there as well, in case you didn't know. But that's probably one American car I could easily go for. I'm not sure whether this is a DS or the cheaper specification ID. It might be an ID, put it in the comments. I don't know, because the cars are almost identical to me. Doesn't have the I don't think it does have the swivel lights, the fixed lights there. Some lovely features. This looks like a 1965 car, let's see, 65, 66 car perhaps. And nevertheless, it is a lovely looking car. Can you imagine how futuristic this looked back in the 50s when it was shown at the Paris Salon? Must have absolutely blown people away, with good reason. So you do see these from time to time. They are such collectible cars now. It's a Nova, Vauxhall Nova, but it's a GSI. It must be a late one, 92, 93 on a K. It's had some work there in the engine. It's got the strut brace, 1.6 injection. Looks like it's got the factory fit roof as well, rather than a pop-up sunroof. One of these, I just saw another YouTuber had bought one of these and paid over £20,000 for it, so difficult to believe that. I can see the attraction of Novas, but a bit out of budget, I'm afraid, for me. So by this time the Escort in the, I think, Mark IV format was fully sorted. This is an RS2000, actually drove rather well. If you look at Autocar road tests of the period, actually really rated it. This one's a show winner. It's amazing how rare this series of Escort became. Got off to a really bad start with the early headlines, but the chassis was sorted, and this RS2000 is lovely. It's got the right number plate for the job, hasn't it? So here's another interesting one. It's an Isetta bubble car, micro car. I think this was the company, the holding company to ISO produce the Griffo, but they actually licensed this to BMW to enable BMW to actually get back on their feet after the Second World War. I think they even built these in the UK under either the BMW or Trojan brands. That one's beautiful. Something about those, I'm not sure I'd want to travel too far in it, but I do find them really, really interesting cars. So of their time. Sold as both a Wolseley and a Riley, but obviously Mini based, is this Wolseley Hornet. Also sold based on the Mini was the Elf, as I just mentioned. You've got a bit more usable boot with the Hornet as well than you've got on a standard Mini. So all the best features of a Mini in terms of packaging and handling, but with a bit more luggage space. Actually, that would make it quite an attractive package. So this is an early-ish Mark II Golf GTI, but the 16 valve, it's got those lovely bottle top wheels. A lot of options on these cars. Even power steering was optional back in the day. I think this is probably an 87, 88 car. I do remember these being new at the time. This is a lovely standard looking example as well, and I must admit I prefer these. I prefer my Golfs unmodified like that one. And that looks really cool, doesn't it? That's a stunner, isn't it? That Ford Thunderbird. What a beauty in that sort of powder blue. Just arriving at the show. Quite a few more cars to see, and we'll try and get a few shots of the ones arriving as well. So with a Consul 375, and this one is a convertible. I'm not sure if it's a Crayford or not. It's not badged as a Crayford, but it's a really lovely convertible conversion. It says just running in, but I suspect it has been running. But lovely colour combination, blue hood with the sort of turquoise over Old English white. That's a very distinctive looking car, isn't it? You don't often see these at car shows. It's that Beetleback styling yet. It's a Volvo PV544. I don't think they were officially imported to the UK, hence this is a left-hand drive car, but really unusual to see them. See, obviously there's some similarities with the Beetle, hence the Beetleback styling. Probably a little bit like a sort of more modern version of a standard Vanguard from a styling perspective, and this was succeeded by the Amazon. So this takes us to the back end of E-Type, not F-Type as I said recently in one of my videos. Of course it's an E-Type. It's an extended wheelbase V12, extended versus the early cars. It's the 2+2, not just the fixed head, so you've got a bit more, well, a little bit more usable space in the back. Let's not get carried away. And I think production finally finished, I think something like 75 to give way to the XJS, but still a distinctive car. So here's a car you may have always promised yourself. Apparently that's what the advertising said. It's a Mark I Capri XL 2000 GT. Looks like it may have been retrimmed. It's got Recaros in. I tell you, they fit. It's got a gear lever from a later car. Maybe it's had an engine transplant as well, but it's an incredibly striking looking car. A bit of a buttress going on there at the back. Those narrow lights reminiscent of the Mark I Escort. and it's in really good nick, that one as well. So still pretty basic in standard format is the XR2 Pre-I. Even those pepper pot alloys, I remember, were not a standard feature. They came with the Steelies with covers on, which is probably a far rarer find today in an XR2. Worth not a lot of money, but obviously got a lot of great memories for people. These, unfortunately, insurance was a real problem back in the day, but great to see that here today, isn't it? So we've got a Porsche 914 or 916. I'm not sure it's a 4 or 6 cylinder, but I guess with a more modern equivalent, which is a Brabus, smart Brabus Roadster, rather than the Coupe Roadster. And there's two of them here as well. These are becoming really pretty rare cars now. Some issues with some of them leaking back in the day. Some interesting features there. That light treatment, for example. Rear engine, that CVT gearbox, yeah, it does make them quite an eclectic choice, doesn't it? Beetle based Volkswagen 411 just arriving by the look of it. So quite an iconic sports car, Nissan 280Z. It's a left-hand drive car, maybe a US car, I don't know, maybe a Japan car. Got some rather tasty turbine type wheels on it. Looks a treat in that orange, doesn't it? Yeah, I like that one, and a bumper delete going on there as well. Arguably one of BMW's cleanest designs is this E21 3 Series. Single light, so probably the lower powered derivative. I'm guessing a 316 or 318, I don't know. Might have to have a look at the back. It's got an original dealer plate, Alec Norman of Bedford in there. It's a 316. Got that bit right with a little spoiler on the back. I'm not sure how much downforce you need, but there you go. Lovely, isn't it? Doesn't that purr? Jensen Interceptor. Oh, that sounds good, doesn't it? Now this W126 chassis car is a stunner, isn't it? It's the SEC 4-seater coupe, full 4-seater coupe. Apparently one of Bruno Sacco's favourite designs, still allegedly has one in his garage. It's got the smaller wheels, and it's no less attractive having the smaller wheels on there with snow tyres in this instance. Very pretty colour, and it's the full fat 500, so the 5 litre, I guess. I think only the 560 was the one above that one. That's really pretty car. Those trademark fluted rear lights, very nice. Now one for Wallace and Gromit fans, it's an Austin, I think an A35 ram rather than an A30. It's great, isn't it? It's got those lovely marker lights at the top. Aren't these cute? That grille, I can honestly see the appeal of these. I think some of them got mini engines in. I think James Hunt even had one back in the day when he couldn't afford to tax his 6.9 litre S-Class Mercedes. Got its BMC rosette on the back. Yeah, that's lovely. It's got a lot of appeal. Not the fastest thing on the road, but wow, what an attention seeker that one is, isn't it? So this is a Roots Group car. It's the Arrow series of Minx, but this one's a Humber. Now, if you look at this car closely, you might realise that it looks like another car from another manufacturer of the period. Yes, it's got similarities with the Mark II Cortina, and there's a good reason why. The design team from Ford took their bat and ball home in the day, and there was a few changes there. I think maybe they took some of the design styling maybe to Europe, and the guys joined the Roots Group, or maybe it was called Chrysler by that stage, and one of the first designs they produced were these Arrow series cars for the company. Hence, it's very similar to a Mark II Ford Cortina. Some would argue not, but make your own mind up on that one. So here's a design by Richard Woolley. It's a Rover 75, it's a diesel one. What a classic design that had turned out to be. A Maserati Merak sharing quite a few components, including the engine with a Citroen SM. So this is a rare one. It's a Mazda MX-6, I think a 2.5 litre V6, sharing some components, I think, built in the same factory in Michigan as the Ford Probe. You just don't see these from a time when Mazda really had a very different range. They had the MX-3 with the I think 1.8 litre V6, and they had this. What an interesting looking design that is, isn't it? So a couple of Blackpool's finest here. We've got a TVR 350 wedge. We've got the larger, arguably more usable Sibera Still a bit of a monster, that one, but at least you've got a couple, well, supposedly a couple of rear seats. Some interesting features like that's where you open the doors with that button there. No door handles shown there. Didn't they do a great job with limited resources at TVR? Absolutely fantastic, aren't they? Both of them. This Mini is really, really well done. Love those super gold wheels. It looks like somebody called Paddy Hopkirk signed this one. If you're the owner of this car, stick that in the comments. I'd love to see the story on that one. Really, really well done, that car. Not sure what it is originally. It's an E-plated one, but from its gold wheels, its green and black paintwork, it looks an absolute Bobby Dazzler. So for our foreign viewers, we'll have to translate that, but he does look good. Who doesn't like a Belfast built DeLorean built with the PRV Peugeot, Renault, Volvo V6 engine, chassis I think designed by Lotus, that backbone chassis, some similarities I think with the Esprit. Yeah, Back to the Future, what a great car. That movie made that car, and it's good to see one here today. You do see them now and again, becoming reasonably valuable these days. I do like them. Apparently not the last word in handling, but absolutely in terms of getting the attention, I think probably that would do it, wouldn't it? An original G-plated Series 1 M3, I think only sold in left-hand drive. Format G would make it, what, 89.90. Got that sort of lightened, raised boot lid. Absolute icons in British touring cars and European touring cars at the time. Rare and becoming sort of, well, if they're not already, quite valuable cars. Well, this is a rare car. It's a Rochdale Olympic. Oh, what? I hear you cry. A Rochdale Olympic, one of a limited series, I guess, British built car based on Ford running gear, I believe, at the time. I'll try and put some more details on the screen as I get to it. You rarely see these. You know, from a distance, you'd mistake these probably from a TVR, maybe a Ginetta. But no, it's definitely a Rochdale Olympic. So I'm going to have a word with Tony about this fabulous Rochdale Olympic. It's a rare car. Let's get Tony to tell us about it. Tony, tell us about this Rochdale Olympic, because it's a rare car, isn't it?
Yeah, it's 1963, 60 years old. The body shell has done 330,000 miles.
Wow.
But it originally had a 1500 Cortina engine in. It's now got a 3-litre V6 Cosworth in it.
Oh wow! Okay, that goes a bit. Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah.
And how many of these were built? These were limited numbers, weren't they?
There was about 250 phase 1s and 150 phase 2s.
Oh wow!
I've got a phase 1 as well. This is a phase 2. I've got a phase 1 as well.
And they were built. Where were they built?
In Rochdale.
Oh, they were built in Rochdale. Hence the name. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the company folded many years ago, I suspect, or?
Well, yes. It's all redevelopment area and all that sort of thing in Rochdale now.
Oh, fabulous.
But they started in 1948 as just a body shop. But both the partners knew about aluminium, working for Miles Aeroplanes and a coach building company that made aluminium coaches and ambulances. So they started making aluminium bodies.
Wow.
For various people, and then in 1954 somebody showed them fiberglass, and of course the craze then was for fitting fiberglass bodies on Austin 7 and Ford Pop chassis.
Oh wow.
And they were one of the Rochdale Motor Panels were one of the biggest companies in this country making fiberglass bodies. They made 7 different bodies for Austin 7s and
well, thank you for telling us about it. Really appreciate it. Thanks very much.
Yeah.
Cheers. Some would argue that the S-Type Jag with its more refined suspension over the Mark II is probably the better car. Many of these met a grizzly end on the Sweeney. The styling at the back probably a bit more modern looking than the Mark IIs back in the day. Never really had the success it deserved, I don't think, and actually, as many people have said, probably a far better car to drive. But succeeded by the BMC version of this car following the takeover, but lovely. So Roy Haynes, who would go on to work for Roots, designed this sort of transatlantic influenced Mark II Cortina. This is a D, so at 66 got those lovely period features like the Dunlop, yeah, the Dunlop alloy wheels. They look so right, don't they? Full badging just on the bottom of the wing. It's a two-seater, four-door. Apparently they're boasting about their win on the 1966 British Saloon Car Championship, I guess with a Lotus car. And it's a GT, so I think it's got the additional clocks. Yeah, I can see the additional clocks on the dashboard. Such a pretty car. The rear lights on this were donated, I think, to some TVRs as well. That's lovely, isn't it? So I've actually got not one, but two Paul Smith Minis. They didn't actually make that many. Some lovely design features like that map of the UK on the grille. Proper Paul Smith badge on the front of it. Yeah, I can probably just about afford the cufflinks. What a special looking car. Oh, this one's open so we can see the proper Paul Smith designed interior, and the purpleness doesn't finish. It's there on the dashboard as well. Lovely leather interior. That's a stunner, that one, isn't it? The ones to have. So this is a Renault Extra van, but it really has got a bit extra. Yes, it's a van and it's highly usable and looks like you could use it for work. Plenty of space in there. But let's take a closer look under the bonnet of this one. So in actual fact, the extra bit is Volvo used the Renault engine as a base but turbocharged it. So what this owner has done is simply stuck a Volvo turbocharged version of the engine under the bonnet, and he's got the only Renault, I think it's the only Renault Extra turboed van. Make fast deliveries on that one, wouldn't you? So we've got a two-wheel drive Ford Sierra Sapphire. So the Sapphire joined the Sierra range, I think, in '87. Originally the Cortina part of it, if you like, the four-door saloon, wasn't covered off because Sierra was a hatchback. The Sapphire joined later. Its place in the interim was taken by the Orion, but later on they produced this Sierra Sapphire Cosworth. The two-wheel drive car, as I said, with those cross-spoke alloys. Looks a treat, doesn't it now? Probably by today's standards, 200 horsepower plus is not that much. But back in the day, that was absolutely the one that many of us wanted. Allegedly from Woodland Hills, California, is this Ford Econoline. I'm not sure what year that is. It says G, or if helpfully it says it's a 1969. Looks like it's driven straight off a movie set, doesn't it? Panavision logo at the back. Let's try not to fall over while I'm going up the hill trying to film this for you guys. Get a better shot here. Well, that's an incredibly useful van. Rare to see those. Really is rare to see those. It's not something that you see every day at any show. Fabulous. I think built with some help from Lotus is the Garrett T3 turbocharged MG Metro Turbo, lovely in this British racing green. I think they only had just over maybe 105 horsepower, something like that. I'll put it on screen and correct myself if I'm wrong. This is a later facelifted car. It is a little stunner, isn't it, this one? Really suits it, that colour, doesn't it? So you're not going to see too many of these. It's a Volvo C304 military ambulance, quite narrow to navigate between the trees in the forests of Sweden. Yes, it's petrol powered. Don't ask about what this 125 mile an hour beast would do. Top speed of 55. Oh, and the fuel consumption, it says, is a heady 12 miles per gallon. Looks like a forward control Land Rover from a distance, and that's what I thought it was, but that's it, a Volvo C304. Never seen one before and may never see one again. That's a beauty, isn't it? It's a 1959 Austin Healey Frog Eye Sprite. Never officially called the Frog Eye. Clearly we all know why, because they couldn't afford to engineer pop-up lamps, so put them on the bonnet. What a lovely looking little car. I think it only came with something like an 848 or 948cc engine, so not the fastest thing around the block, but what a lovely little sports car they are. I've got a lot of time for those. Looks great, doesn't it? Made for just 2 years is this Ford console classic, continuing as the Capri model, the two-door version for a while. Got that unique styling and reminiscent at the back of Anglia, and actually quickly pushed out the way after this short production run by the Cortina, which became a bestseller in the UK. So it is relatively rare to see these because they didn't actually make them for that long, and this one's in lovely nick, isn't it? I think these were launched on a H plate originally. This is a J plate, so a 92 car, so maybe 18 months into production. It's actually badged as a Harrier. Maybe that was a dealer special edition. Got some interesting looking Ford alloy wheels on it. Relatively lower trim level looking at the interior trim. And the rear lights mark it out as being a relatively early car. Great to see that, and so few of them left now. So this is a Stratos recreation, a Lister Bell, so one of the better ones, I think, to be honest with you. They're all pretty good, but there's not much to dislike with this car. Yeah, Lister Bell Stratos replica, and originally it's entry number 6 from the 79 Monte Carlo Rally. I didn't remember that, it says that there in the sheet in the window. Nevertheless, what a car. Who wouldn't want one of those in the garage? I certainly would. Looks a treat, doesn't it? There's high mileage and high mileage in this Volvo 245 or 240 probably estate. By this stage it's a late one, it's what, an 88, 89, and it says it's got an unbelievable 830,000 miles on there. I didn't make it up, I promise you. It's well used, well loved. I think I might even have seen this car before at the NEC. Still in daily use. Oh, great to see that here today, isn't it? So here we've got the imp-engined, rear-engined Ginetta. I think it's a G15 from memory. Got that petrol tank filler at the front. Rear-engined and quite a lot of heat protection material. Must be quite some heat build-up. I did actually make a video on the channel about Ginetta's 65th birthday, where there's a lot more Ginettas that you can see, and that's elsewhere on the channel. I'm rarely lost for words, but probably this is the car that's going to do it, from the skulls on the front to the engine on display. Yeah, that is quite something else, isn't it? What it is, I don't know. Answers on a postcard, please. So thanks again for joining me on Lot 76 Cars at the fabulous Footman James Chrome and Coffee event at the Impney Estate. Hope you've enjoyed the video. Please like, share, subscribe, turn on notifications so as not to miss the next one. And once again, thanks for watching. At some point in time, this was a 1956 Austin Cambridge.